All right, what's up, YouTube? Today, I'm gonna get straight into it. We're gonna be talking about the how-to 5.4 2V, really, how to do that swap with the GT Mustang or the V6 as well. I'm gonna give you the rundown on that. Start off, we're gonna talk about things that you don't really have to buy, that you can use from the 2V, because the 5.4 and the 4.6 is honestly like the same motor. It's honestly like just the displacement is a little different. About the adapter plates, good luck sourcing them out. You're gonna have some trouble sourcing them out. You're gonna probably have to make a few phone calls and all that. I got mine off eBay, but that was like 4 to 5 years ago, and they're no longer like on eBay. They no longer sell them, so don't mess around. And I looked already. I think the way they word it is gonna be 5.4 to 4.6 intake adapter plates. I think it's like that. Let me look real quick, and I'm gonna come back with the video again. All right, so let's look for this real quick. Let's go on the internet. And just found out it's gonna be 4.6 to, well, not Intel, but intake adapter plates right here. And it's called Barnett Performance. I don't know why they're not showing up right now. It's definitely called Barnett's Performance. So this is another website right here. It's called RPM Outlet. You might be able to find some intake adapter plates there. Let's look up www.barnett. This is the website, Barnett Performance. See right here, give them a call, bro, and make sure they're legit, man. You know what I'm saying? I got a bunch of stuff on here. It looks kind of, wonky, but I seen that it had intake adapter plates on here for the 5.4. Like I said, it's gonna be called 4.6 to 5.4 intake adapter plates. Now we can go shopping, and we're gonna see probably all right, so this is what you're gonna be looking for, something like this and like this as well. These, look for those. If they don't look like that, that's not the ones you need. You gotta make sure they look just like that. So let's go ahead and get back to DVA's video real quick. But you won't see me coming back anyways, because to you it'll be the same. All right, so guys, it's the 4.6 to 5.4 intake adapter plates, and I found one website. I think they're legit. They have a phone number. Make sure you call them and try to get some logistics out of them. But I seen one. It seemed pretty legit. So, and it's the 4.6 to 5.4 adapter plates. But if you can't source that out, you're probably gonna have to figure out some kind of way to use the old or the same 5.4 intake on your 5.4 2-valve swap. If you can't source adapter plates out, or find somebody that actually can make them, because that's gonna be very important. So make sure you can do that. I make sure I would be able to do that before I even do the swap. The way I did my swap, I'm gonna tell you guys how I did it. So I did mine with the intake adapter plates whenever COVID wasn't happening, and not so much rents and stuff was going on, and I could go ahead and I just went ahead and bought them off eBay. So nothing I'm gonna be talking about right now is. So let me get this out the way real quick for the guys who have V6s who want to make, like, instead of putting the 5.4 in there, instead of putting the 4.6 in there, you guys that have a V6, you might put a bigger engine, which is a 5.4, to have more torque. Well, first off, let's start this off with the V6 people. You're gonna need everything that you would possibly need for the V8, like the 4.6 swap. You're gonna need all the everything that you would need to do that swap, to convert your V6 to a 4.6 and get everything: the rear end, the drive shaft, transmission, wire harness, PCM. You're gonna need all that. K member should be the same too, by the way. But let's go back to the V8 people, the 4.6, you know, 2-valve people to 5.4 2-valve. I'll say a little bit about the 5.4 4-valve later. It's going to be a lot of 2 Vs and 2 Vs and 4 Vs, and it's gonna, well, we're going just 2V right now, so let me stop talking about that. So one thing that you can use from your 4.6 2-valve is the flywheel. Whether it's automatic, you know, or a standard transmission you have, you can use either flywheel. But the thing about that is, make sure that your flywheel has the same amount of bolts. So say your 4.6 is, I forgot, is Romeo and Windsor, you know, heads or blocks and engines as well. And there's another one too, I don't remember. But that's with the 4.6, and I believe it's the same with the 5.4s. So the cranks on the 5.4, I think those are like 6-bolt cranks. Unfortunately, I have a Windsor 4.6, so that means mine is a 8-bolt crank. So I couldn't swap the, you know, the flywheels. But my homeboy has a Romeo 4.6 engine, and being that, you know, the 5.4s, I don't know about all the 5.4s, but the 5.4 I had to deal with, I had to get a new flywheel only because it was a 6-bolt flywheel. So, like I said, if your 4.6 is in, if your 4.6 has a 6-bolt flywheel, then you can go ahead and use that same flywheel and put it on there. Same thing with the 8-bolt. Say if you do run into a 5.4 with an 8-bolt crank, well, you can use your 8-bolt flywheel on your 8-bolt crank. Wait, yeah, 8-bolt flywheel on your 5.4, you know, crank. Another thing about that is, let's talk about the transmission. You can use any 4.6 transmission and put that on the 5.4. So meaning you can use your stock transmission, the T45 or the TR3650 or something like that. You guys, I don't know too much about that trans, but it's almost similar. But you can use those two on the 5.4 as well. So don't worry about getting a transmission or none of that. All right, guys, the next thing we're gonna talk about is like accessories for the engine. So that will be the alternator, the water pump, the AC compressor, and the power steering pump. As for the crank and the idler pulleys, I use the 5.4. You know, I use those 5.4 things. But make sure that you use, say like for the alternator. I noticed one thing about the 5.4. I think they have some that have 6 grooves on them, and some that have like more than 6 grooves on it. I remember. I don't remember too well. I remember it was like 7 groove or 8 groove, but mine was, you know, more grooves than the actual 4.6 motor. So I couldn't use the same accessories, but for some 5.4 you know, swaps that you're doing, if they have the same amount of grooves as the 4.6, you can use all the same accessories. I just couldn't because of that reason. It had too many grooves. So when it came to, I'm gonna say AC off the back. When it came to AC, I went ahead and used a 5.4 2V, you know, from an F-150. I used the AC compressor to that, and when it came to bolting up the like tubes, you know, the lines and all that, the lines fit. The lines do fit. You don't have to fabricate anything. When it came to the power steering pump, I used a 5.4 power steering pump as well. Like I said, mine had many grooves. If yours has the same amount of grooves as the 4.6, then you can just use all your same parts. Water pump, I just used the 5.4 water pump. And as for the alternator, I used the 4.6 alternator because I didn't feel like snipping the wire harness. Now, the alternator on the 4.6 has less grooves than the 5.4, the one I'm going with. But the way I got around that, I went ahead to the junkyard and I pulled off a pulley from a 5.4 alternator, and I put that same pulley on my 4.6 alternator. So that's how I was able to use that without having to change the wire harness and all that. The only other thing that you can do to bypass what I did, instead of having to change the pulley, if you don't want to change the pulley, you can go ahead and get a 5.4 alternator and find the connector harness that goes, you know, to connect to it. Snip those wires and, you know, splice into it, and then boom, you're done. You don't have to change the pulley or none of that. So that's really the only difference between those alternators. Besides that, they were the same size, but when it came to my alternator, you know, it bolted up fine. You know, I used the 4.6 alternator, but like I said, that's what I did to use the 4.6 alternator. Another thing, let me think. Like I said, the water pump used the 5.4, AC compressor 5.4, power steering pump 5.4. But when it came to the power steering reservoir, they had the bracket for the 4.6, and I used that same bracket on the timing cover, and it bolted right up. All right, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the engine wire harness. Now, when it comes to the engine wire harness, honestly, I'll be completely honest, I didn't have to change anything. I didn't have to like relocate something. I didn't have to go ahead and like stretch wires. I didn't have to do none of that. Everything just plugged right in to where, you know, I needed it to plug in. And that's because I used the 4.6 intake adapter plates, you know, to put my 4.6 intake on there. Now, one thing I do want to tell you about that, also about the intake, if you do end up finding adapter plates, make sure you get your crossover tube that goes underneath the intake on the 4.6. Make sure you get that and put that on there. Put it on the 5.4. Make sure you do that. Don't forget about that, because you will end up be like, oh, I can't use my heater. Well, you can't use your heater because, you know, you don't have the right hoses mounted. Also about hoses, I was able to, like coolant hoses, I was able to use all my 4.6 hoses as well. If the 5.4 that you get has a different all cooler adapter housing, you can mount up your 4.6 one and they'll bolt right up. Don't worry about that. Let me think what else. Like I said, when it came to the wire harness, bruh, the wire harness, I just used the 4.6 intake one, and that was easy. Also, fuel rail. Since I had my old fuel rail for my 4.6, I didn't have to modify anything on the fuel rail. Now, if you use the 5.4 intake and fuel rail and all that other stuff, then you're gonna go ahead. You're gonna have to probably find up some, you know, some kind of way to fit the fuel rail on there. You're gonna have to get a little creative. I'm not sure how you do that. Like I said, I'm telling you guys how I did my swap. I'm telling you what I don't know as well. So if you have to take another route, a different route than what I did, then that's, you know, you have to look that up. I'm just telling you my route. All right, another thing that you need to take from your 4.6, make sure you take off the all pickup tube from your 4.6 on the Mustang, the GT, and take off your all pan. Put those two things on the 5.4. It's gonna clear up a lot of clearance, obviously. You're gonna need to do that. All right, guys, the next thing I want to talk about is exhaust. When it comes to exhaust from the 5.4 and the 4.6, if I'm correct, and this is what I did, I went ahead and got some 4.6 JBA headers. I believe that's what I did. Look into that. Very much look into it, please. Make sure you look into that. Don't just take my word because I'm unsure, because it's so long ago since I did it. I have a video also uploaded on my channel that's going to say a lot about that. You know, the video back then, I'm pretty sure I remember more back then than I remember now. But I believe I used a 4.6 headers, and those were JBA headers. No matter what, you cannot use the oh, by the way, yeah, I did use the 4.6 headers. So yeah, because, and I know that definitely because the thing is, whenever I first did the swap, I only used stock manifolds from the 4.6 to put on the 5.4. And you know, whenever I had to pull my engine back out for other reasons, whenever my car got wrecked, I went ahead and bought some JBA headers for the 4. Well, I bought it for the 5.4, but it was 4.6 JBA headers. Remember that, 4.6 JBA headers. And I did have to mount my mid pipe. Yes, I did have to mount, like, I had to get it fabricated is what I really mean. I know I had to mount it, you know, of course you have to mount it regardless, but I had to modify it because the 5.4 stands a little taller than the 4.6. So that being said, being that it stood taller, you know what I'm saying, like I had to get it modified to mount up to the headers. And honestly, I just took that to a shop and they did that real smooth, you feel me? But like I said, don't use BBK 4.6 headers or 5.4 headers. Don't use those. I heard that they and I know a lot of things about BBK now, because even on my 4.6 4 valve, like I'm having trouble with that right now. And I'm to the point to where I'm about to put some exhaust manifolds on there. Not even headers no more for my 4.6 4 valve. I'm putting exhaust manifolds on there. One, they sit too low to the ground. Two, obviously I don't have any cats no more. You could find some with cats, not the headers. I'm talking about the mid pipe after that. But another thing is I have to now, I'm speaking about the 4.6 4 valve now, but I'm sorry I'm getting off topic, but I have to go ahead and use take off my transmission. Like, in order for me to take off my transmission now, I have to pull off the headers. So yeah, BBK has a lot of problems. So when it comes to, you know, that stuff, just don't get the BBK headers for the 5.4 swap. Don't do it. It's I didn't do it. They told me not to do it, so don't do it. So basically use the JBA headers or use stock manifolds for your 5.4 swap. And what I mean by those two is basically 4.6 headers and 4.6 headers as in JBA and exhaust manifolds. That's what I use. Oh, a tune, the ECU and all that. When it came to the ECU, you know, the PCM, whatever. Actually, it's called ECM. I'm tripping. Or is the ECU? I don't know. But when it came to that, I used the 4.6, which is my stock GT's, you know, computer. I did run a SCT tuner to kind of balance out things, but the best thing for you to do, like your engine will run with the stock tune, and it won't run bad, but it won't perform like it can if you don't go get it tuned. So make sure you go bring it to the dyno and get tuned, or whatever else you got to do. Just make sure you get it tuned right, because if you don't, like I said, you're gonna be lacking in power. Like when I first did it and I did the swap, put it all together, it started fine. It didn't run bad. I was running pretty good, honestly. And like I could feel the torque. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I felt like my wheels was about to pull off the rear end. But if I could change anything now, like what swap would I do now? Honestly, I would go ahead and do the 4.6 4 valve swap, which is what I did. So either I would do the 4.6 swap, or I would do the, how would you say that? The regular 4.6 GT swap, which, I mean, I already got that, so it ain't no swap. I would just keep what I have. I would do one of those two. Why? Because honestly, when it came to the 5.4, it takes up a lot of room. You know, some people, you could do certain things to where you will have the room, but I didn't have the room on my car. So if I had to go back and do some things, I would have had this 4.6 4 valve swap. Or if you don't want to do that, at least do the 5.4 4 valve swap. Now, when it comes to that, the 5.4 4 valve is almost the same thing as the 4.6 4 valve swap. So you're gonna need to change your wire harness. You're gonna have to figure out what intake you're gonna go with, and you're gonna have to find a new K member and get some spacers for the K member so you can lower the engine down, because if you don't, you're gonna run into your brake booster. Now, I did kind of run into my brake booster when it came to my 5.4 swap, but it's because I dropped it in and like it just nicked the back of the thing. It's not like, it wasn't dead set on it. Honestly, the 4.6 4 valve is more close to the brake booster than I had on my 5.4 2 valve swap. So that's just something to look out for. Like I said, you need some spacer for the 5.4 4 valve, and pretty much anything that you do to the 4.6 4 valve, you need to do kind of the same things on the 5.4 4 valve. The only thing that's tedious, and you need to bend up some exhaust pipes too. Yeah, you got to heat them up, bend them up, and you know, get them right into place. So be careful with that, man. So anyways, guys, hope you liked the video. I'm gonna end it off right now. I got things to do on the whip right now. Gotta go ahead and pull off these BBK long tubes that I was just talking about. Yep. Or at least prep it up to do that. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna see you later. Deuces.